All right, can everybody hear me okay? We'll call the first meeting of the Colorado Oil and Gas Professional Commission to order. Can we take roll call?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Gibbs.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Gonzalez. And just a reminder to commissioners who are here, when you answer, if you'd like to push your button on your microphone. Thank you. Commissioner McGowan. Here. Commissioner Mesner.
Here.
Commissioner Nanchapa. Here. Commissioner Putnam.
Here. Good morning.
Good morning. Commissioner Robbins.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have 7 out of 7 commissioners present.
Excellent. Welcome, everybody. Before we move into the main agenda, I wanted to speak just briefly about sort of protocol with masks, et cetera, so that everyone in Colorado understands how we're doing this. So we are in the Wasatch hearing room. The five of the 7 commissioners are here with us. As we come into the hearing room, we are all masked up, right, in protocol. And then once we get in, when we're seated, we're allowed to take masks off because we have our Scott Cuthbertson specific combo plexiglass sneeze guard ahead of us. So ingenious, he went to 4 different Home Depots before he was able to find the sufficient plexiglass to be able to build these. So when we're seated, we are allowed to take our masks off. And then if during breaks, et cetera, we would mask back up so that we're in protocol. So I just wanted everyone in the state to know that that's how we're doing things here. We at DNR are under a order that we are to work from home unless we're not really capable of working from home. We felt as professional commissioners and commissioners that it made sense for our first meeting to try to be in a room together so we could, because we've not met each other. So this is our first ability to meet each other and work together. We will continue with this protocol as we move forward. So that's kind of the introduction on how we're doing business in this strange world that we're in. Hearings Officer Larson, next on our agenda, I believe, is a welcome from the governor.
That's correct. Let me get that queued up for everyone to view. One moment.
Hello, I'm Governor Jared Polis. Last year we celebrated the historic signing of Senate Bill 181, changing the way oil and gas operates in Colorado and the role of the Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission for the better, to make it more efficient, more effective. Over the past year, the staff, the volunteer commissioners have been working very hard on this transition. What was once an idea is now a reality, to welcome the first 5 professional commissioners to serve at the COGCC. As professional commissioners, we're now able to devote the necessary resources to protecting the public, safety, welfare, wildlife, and the environment in regards to the oil and gas industry in a quicker, more efficient way. Your backgrounds, whether it's public health, local government, environment, industry experience, blend the best of the public and private sector in our new commission. You've started during the pandemic, and new challenges will always await you. You were selected because of your amazing, outstanding expertise, your ability to communicate a new chapter for Colorado's oil and gas industry, as well as protecting our neighborhoods. You're charged with bold work, and by building on this trust and hard work and success in the past year, I know that you're going to go far. Again, congratulations. Thank you for being our very first professional commissioners at the Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission. Congratulations.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Governor, for that. We're all excited as we embark on the work that we're about to do. At this point, and today's meeting is sort of a meet and greet for ourselves because we don't know each other, and it's a meet and greet with Colorado as a whole. And so I wanted to give each of us just a little bit of an opportunity to sort of talk about yourself and introduce yourselves to each other and to Colorado, and maybe to sort of start with that. I see Commissioner Gibbs is here. I thought maybe he was not going to be here. I was just going to go alphabetically. Commissioner Gibbs, are you available to sort of introduce yourself? And we all know you, but maybe others on the phone would like a little background, but welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So that feels good for me to say that. I was just getting ready to say Director. But congratulations, Chairman Robbins. As you know, this is my first meeting not being the chair for, I think, about a year or so. So I'm, if I had a gavel with me, I'd be very happy to hand that over to you symbolically. Good, you have that. I just want to first say congratulations to the brand new professional commission. Really look forward to working with Commissioner Gonzalez, Commissioner Nanjapa, Commissioner Massner, Commissioner McGowan, and you, Commissioner Robbins. And as well as I want to congratulate Julie Murphy, being the new Division Director of COGCC. I just want to give you all just a snapshot of the DNR, and then I'll just briefly tell you a little bit about myself. But for the new commissioners, as you all know, OGCC is one of the divisions that is part of the Department of Natural Resources, but we also have Division of Water Resources, we have Colorado Water Conservation Board, we have State Land Board. State Land Board bring in, money for K through 12 education. We also have Division of Reclamation, Mining, and Safety. And then our largest division is Colorado Parks and Wildlife. So they manage all wildlife in Colorado, including our soon-to-be 42 now state parks. We just had the bill signing with the governor just last week down in Trinidad for our new state park. But we also have Colorado Avalanche Information Center, and that's housed within the Executive Director's Office. And then there's also a Division of Forestry. So this past year, I have been a voting member of OGCC and chair of it, but moving forward right now, I'll be able to appoint people from my staff to fill in for me when I'm not able to attend meetings. So I'm going to do my best to attend as many meetings as possible. Really wanted to be here for this first kickoff meeting, but like I said, I'll be here as often as I can, but there'll be times when I'll be stretched to other meetings that I just won't be able to attend. Quick about myself, I've been in this position. I was appointed by the governor about 1.5 years ago to be the head of the Department of Natural Resources. Before that, I was elected 3 times as a Summit County Commissioner. I live here in Breckenridge. I'm at my house right now. I'm married with 2 really young kids, so don't be surprised if my 2-year-old walks in naked, which he does at times. And I have a 6-year-old daughter as well. I love to mountain bike, ski, whitewater raft, anything outdoors. I'm really, really happy doing that. Before I was a county commissioner, I served in the state legislature. I was a state senator and a state representative. And then before that, I worked for then U.S. Congressman Mark Udall, and worked some time in Washington, D.C., and I was also his Western Slope field director. So I'm just really excited to be working with you all moving forward. The previous commission, not that they weren't professional, it was the volunteer commission. They really did amazing work to get some really important rulemakings done. And I know you, as the new professional commission, really look forward to working with you as we tackle some of the challenges, moving ahead as we explore some of the rulemakings that we have before us. So again, I look forward to working with you, and I'll be, setting up some meetings to meet with you all individually, but welcome on board.
Thank you, Commissioner Gibbs, and a tribute to your work as chair. You did an amazing job there, and I've got big steps to fill here, and we look forward to having you and Commissioner Putnam and his designee as helpful ex officio non-voting members on this new commission. And I guess I would, before I segue to our next commissioner, I would like to recognize that the volunteer commissioners who served for the last year and several months were everything. we're as professional as this commission, to think of them as non-professional versus professional is I think not the right way to move about that. They serve this state tremendously well, and they all did an amazing job in implementing 3 of the 9 rules, and in working those initial steps under 181, as well as serving as a vehicle for this commission and moving forward. So kudos to all the volunteer retired commissioners. Yeah, cheers to them, and we hope to continue to hear from them as we move forward. So with that, we'll continue with our introductions and just sort of alphabetically. Commissioner Gonzalez, you're up next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. My name is Bill Gonzalez. I'm very honored, very excited to be serving on this commission, bringing some perspective from the oil and gas industry. I've served or been in part of the oil and gas industry in Colorado and the Rockies region for 11 years. Moved here from Texas, not a native, got here as fast as I could. Studied economics at Texas A&M University, received my law degree at the University of Texas School of Law there, and then moved to Colorado to pursue my career in the oil and gas industry with Anadarko Petroleum, formerly Anadarko Petroleum, now Occidental Petroleum. And during my 11 years at Anadarko Oxy, I served in various roles, supporting operations in Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, and really have been a part of a lot of the transitions that have happened in the oil and gas industry over the last decade, and seen a lot of different perspectives, worked with a lot of different people with different expertise. In my former roles, I've learned how to view the oil and gas industry through various lenses. When you think about some of the work I've done with Oxy and with Anadarko over the last 11 years, you have to look at things from a different perspective. Looking at things from the view of an operator, a non-operator, a mineral owner, a royalty owner, a surface landowner, and really understand those competing interests within the oil and gas industry, and then more importantly with the external stakeholders. I was fortunate enough in my various roles to work with numerous external stakeholders, including surface landowners, developers, state land offices in Colorado and Utah, the Ute Indian tribe. One of the pieces of work that I'm most proud of is working hand in hand with the BLM in Wyoming in creating programmatic environmental assessments that are designed to align oil and gas operations with the environmental needs and with the environmental impact there in that state. I've also worked with local governments and helping them aid in planning around our operations and understanding our impacts. And I've worked with competitors to find common ground for mutual opportunities. I understand the role of the stakeholder in influencing responsible oil and gas policy here in the state. Working with stakeholders, having a dedication to stakeholder engagement involves listening, transparency, and responsiveness. And I look forward to this commission bringing those values to the work that we're going to do here. Lastly, I want to thank Commissioner Polis for choosing me and for choosing all of us for this important work. And I look forward to rolling up my sleeves and getting started. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. And we'll all look forward to getting to know each other well as we move forward behind sneeze guards. Commissioner McGowan, I think alphabetically you may be next if I've got my
It's kind of hard to go next after someone who has like a prepared. I feel like I'm failing a test already. I'm Karen McGowan. My most previous life was Deputy Executive Director for the Department of Public Health and Environment. So I know Commissioner Putnam very well. I've worked with Commissioner Gibbs in a past life also. Had a brief voluntary stint on the voluntary commission when I was interim executive director of the department. So I'm familiar with the dynamics and kind of some of the decisions that have to be made. I'm really excited now that health and environment get equal seating at the table as we have these discussions. When I was Deputy Executive Director of CDPHE, the Office of Health Equity was under me. So I'm hoping to bring an equity lens and environmental justice lens as part of the discussions and how we view development around different communities and making sure that that's done in an equitable manner. We're looking at that view. I'm excited that I have some policy experience where the corners of environment and public health meet, and just really eager to get to work and and figure out what this commission's going to look like and getting to know everybody.
Excellent. Welcome aboard. Commissioner Messner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm John Messner, previously Gunnison County Commissioner. I was actually replaced as a Gunnison County Commissioner last night. So, yeah, so I'm the one of the holdovers from the Volunteer Commission, was on the commission for a little over a year in implementing some of the rulemakings around SB 19-181. Was a Gunnison County Commissioner for almost 4 years. And prior to that, had a lot of different roles with local government, with outdoor recreation infrastructure development, as well as outdoor education. I was part of the Gunnison County Planning Commission during the time when we developed some of the first oil and gas regulations, local oil and gas regulations in the state of Colorado that really did prioritize public health, welfare, the environment, and wildlife resources, while still, enabling the successful development of oil and gas resources within Gunnison County. Gunnison County is a little bit of a cross section of the state of Colorado. Even though it's small, it's 80% public lands, but our economic drivers include, tourism and a ski resort and a university and, coal mines and hard rock mining and ranching and oil and gas development, timber. And so we've really got this diverse economic base within Gunnison County. So I like to think of it as a cross section of the state of Colorado, because that's really, what we see in the state of Colorado as well. Some of the roles I've played as a county commissioner include being co-chair of Counties and Commissioners Acting Together, vice chair of Colorado Counties Inc. Land Use and Natural Resources Steering Committee, as well as on the steering committee for Energy, Environment, and Land Use for the National Association of Counties. And I'm really looking forward to continue the work that the Volunteer Commission and myself and the staff and Jeff have done over the last year and a half. It's been really exciting to start to develop and implement some of the rules around SB 19-181, and I'm looking forward to be able to continue that work. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you, Commissioner Messner. It's great to have you back on board. I think you fabulous job as a volunteer professional, and now you're a professional commissioner. So we look forward to that. Commissioner Nanjapa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm really excited and honored to be here as well on the new professional commission. And I just wanted to take a moment to just thank all of the previous volunteers for their service to the commission. I am a wildlife biologist by training. I have a bachelor's and master's in biology with an emphasis in wildlife ecology and conservation. I have worked in federal government, nonprofit trade association, in particular the Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies, that whose mission was to work with the state fish and wildlife agencies all across the United States and into Canada. And then most recently, I had a little foray into nonprofit management as the director of operations in Conservation Science Partners. When I was working with the Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies, a lot of my work centered around partnerships, which involved federal, state, NGO, industry, academia, et cetera. And so I have some of that experience of understanding when the goals or philosophies might differ between entities, and trying to find those areas of mutual benefit and working together to find those opportunities. I also have spent several years now working in the realm of inclusivity, equity, and social justice and environmental justice. And so I also am hoping to bring that lens to this role with respect to environmental quality issues, et cetera.
as a person of color in the conservation world that is one of the very few that's kind of at this sort of level, really hoping to have conversations that may be a little bit uncomfortable, but also maybe help us move forward in those ways. And then in general, I have a almost 8-year-old daughter, and she and I love to hike and camp and look for snakes and frogs and view wildlife in general, all the beautiful wildlife that Colorado has to offer. She has probably seen more elk and bear and deer than I ever did before I was in my 20s. But we love to just be outdoors in general, and so I'm really appreciative of this opportunity to be thinking about the great outdoors as we're making our decisions and implementing SB 19-181. And so thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on the commission and to serve.
Outstanding. Good to meet you, and we'll look forward to working with you as well. Commissioner Putnam, you're up. If you can unmute yourself perhaps, and we can see you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, everybody, and especially welcome to the newest professional commissioners, and welcome back for those returning in your roles. I'm John Putnam. I'm the Director of Environmental Programs at the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. I support our air, water, waste, and environmental health and sustainability divisions at the Commission, as well as interface with our air, water, and waste commissions, which act in a similar role as this commission in a rulemaking fashion. As part of my role, try to provide a bridge to the rest of the state, including Department of Natural Resources and the Oil and Gas Commission. And so one of the things I'm very excited about this current structure is that Commissioner Gibbs and I can remain in this function to help provide that bridge between agencies, because our task overlaps with the Commission's task substantially. Senate Bill 19-181 provided specific directions to the Air Quality Commission that we're discharging, and one of the things that we want to do is make sure that we're working in sync rather than at cross purposes, and not create gaps that things will fall between. And I'm very glad to say that we've had excellent engagement between the staffs of the two departments, and I fully anticipate that moving forward. Much like Commissioner Gibbs, as a result of all the other pieces on my plate, I have a designated alternate, our energy liaison, Sean Hackett, who, if you don't know Sean already, you will be getting to know Sean. He really provides a great bridge between the two programs, and does a lot of the coordination, a lot of the synchronization between the programs, and provides our environmental perspective on a number of both rulemakings and then specific proposals that are in front of the commission. And so we'll be splitting up, much like Commissioner Gibbs. I will make as many of the meetings as I can, but you'll see a fair amount of Sean Hackett as well, which is good because he's got deep knowledge, deep experience on the issue, and great relationships with the folks there at COGCC. And if it's okay, Mr. Chair, maybe I could just briefly have Sean introduce himself and wave to the rest of the folks.
Yes, please do. Can we get Sean unmuted?
Mr. Hackett, you are unmuted.
Thank you, Mimi. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Chair. Welcome, new commissioners, COGCC staff, and the public who is on the phone today. I'm beyond honored and thrilled to be able to help support John in his capacity and to help serve as a resource for you all, serve as your CDPHE resource. Just a little bit more, I think John did a pretty good job summarizing my position as the energy liaison. A little bit more background about myself. I've been at CDPHE for about 7 years now in different capacities. Most relevant to this position, I worked for the Planning and Policy Program in the Air Pollution Control Division as a rule writer, and also as a health concern investigator for our Oil and Gas Health Information and Response Program. Before coming to work for the state of Colorado as a student attorney and private attorney, I worked on Clean Water Act, Endangered Species Act and National Environmental Policy Act litigation, as well as counsel local governments and special districts on water resource matters. In this energy liaison position, another thing that I do above what John mentioned is help to lead the department's consultation program, which is outlined in COGCC rules. And that's an opportunity for us, CDPHE, to complement the hard work that COGCC staff does to protect public health and the environment when siting oil and gas locations. Today is my 2-year anniversary in the energy liaison position, and it's definitely been quite a pleasure to be able to work with the dedicated staff that you all have over there. I'm really looking forward to get to know you all more and do my best to provide CDPHE's perspective. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Sean. We'll definitely look forward to working with you and in your new capacity. And I think it's an excellent delegation at times from Commissioner Putnam, and I've enjoyed working with you as well for the past 18 months. So sort of last is me, and alphabetically, I'm Jeff Robbins. Many of you may know me that are on the Zoom meeting. For the past 18 months, I've served as director of this commission. I was honored and humbled that Governor Polis thought that I could be a good director, and now I'm similarly situated in terms of being a member of this commission as well as its chair. For those of you who don't know me, I moved to Colorado in 1996. I had a 23-year career as an attorney here in this great state. One of my first clients was La Plata County, which is the county around Durango, and I had worked with the planning department, and back then we were involved in a fairly significant oil and gas boom. And so I worked with the county in terms of helping it understand its authority in terms of regulating oil and gas. And that was a touch and go, because back then we were under sort of the preemption doctrine, and if this commission did something, the county was not allowed or was constrained in terms of what it could do. And so we worked, in fact, I worked with this commission. In fact, one of the first things that I did as a county attorney was I defended the county against a lawsuit brought by this commission saying that the county couldn't do things. And we were actually successful with that lawsuit, that we could do some things. We also tried to be creative back then. La Plata County created the first memorandums of understanding with oil and gas companies. I remember flying down to Houston and meeting with BP officials and coming up with an MOU, and those MOUs have now been used throughout Colorado as another method of having local governments work with oil and gas. That early career for me led to a clientele on the Front Range. And so I worked with Boulder County, I worked with Adams County, Aurora was one of my clients, Tenmouth, Lafayette, a number of different communities on the Front Range, all helping them understand and work with oil and gas and try to figure out how to be involved in regulating oil and gas. That history also led me to work with then Representative Polis, and I got to know and work with him and give him advice on his constituents that were trying to understand oil and gas on the Front Range. And that then led to me finding myself here as director of this agency. And I want to tell to the commissioners and to Colorado as a whole, the last 18 months working with this commission has educated me on some things that are sort of fundamental to, I think, what is going to be success for us. First off is the employees of this agency. They are dedicated and trained, and they're all in. You know, I spent 18 months as their boss, and we've now have Director Julie Murphy in that role, which is awesome. But they really rolled up their sleeves. They were nimble in finding 181. I don't think that in December of 2018 they had an understanding, and none of us really did, of what the legislature was, where they were going. And the employees of this agency have done just a tremendous job in setting ourselves up for success as we continue in the implementation of 181. The second point that I would make is that the stakeholders to this agency, the folks that identify themselves as parties to our rulemakings, and there's close to 100 parties, is that right? In the mission change rulemaking, that's phenomenal. And it's a little bit scary, but that's a ton of folks that really feel that they want to lead an important voice to what it is we're going to do. And so we've got our work cut out for ourselves, because we're going to be hearing from 100 different stakeholders with distinct interests, but from the industry, from the environmental coalitions, from local governments, from neighborhood groups, from just individuals that feel vested enough to identify themselves as a party. That's a tremendous honor for us. And I think that's going to be indicative of the successes that we will have, because we have that amount of attention on a really important goal that we have for ourselves. So I think we're poised to do some really amazing things for the state of Colorado. I know that all of us are going to roll up our sleeves. Our stakeholders are ready, willing, and able to be fully involved in these next steps. And later this morning, I've got a quick PowerPoint to talk about what those next steps look like, so that we can all see that. But that's so that's me. In my spare time, I too like to get out into the mountains. I moved to Colorado as quick as I could, as did you, Commissioner Gonzalez. My wife and daughter still live in Durango, where is my home. My daughter is an incoming freshman at Fort Lewis College, and I have a son who's a senior at CU. So we like to get out and about. We just spent the last week or so camping across this state, which was a great nimble pivot from the original idea of maybe traveling abroad before I took this role. But this is a great state to enjoy. So I look forward to working with all of you. So thank you all. And it's great that we've had a chance to do introductions from the commissioners, all 7 of us. I'm glad we were all here. And now I'd like to turn it over to Director Murphy, who is last week undertook the role of director, which I'm thrilled about. And I think maybe you're going to be able to introduce some of our managers to Colorado.
Thank you, Chair. It's a pleasure and an honor to step into this role in this whole new world and help launch a new organization and a new organizational structure. We have an incredible foundation at the staff level. And so I guess I'd start with saying welcome to each of you. Welcome to our stakeholders to this brave new world, media, staff, and it's going to be an exciting, dynamic period, but we are poised to undertake it successfully, I believe. We've been waiting just over a year to welcome each of you. That being said, I've been noodling on this idea for quite some time, because I've seen how technical these issues are, how passionate our stakeholders are, and how committed we are to all solving and finding a better place for Colorado. So I'm incredibly grateful for the depth and breadth of experience, of capacity, and of vision that each of you bring to our organization to help us chart into this basically new decade and implement 181 and the changes it has required. I think you'll find we have an incredibly passionate, technically gifted, and very, I guess I should just key back to passionate staff. I'm thrilled for the opportunity to help support them through this transition as well. Our managers have deep technical understanding of not only the disciplines that they represent, but also of how this organization has functioned and how we can change and evolve and continue to function successfully. So obviously you will get to know them better in the coming days, weeks, and years, but I'm very excited to have them introduce themselves to you shortly. I'd also like to thank Commissioner and Executive Director Gibbs for the opportunity to step into this role. I've really enjoyed working with him over the course of the previous, I guess, 18 months also, and also for the trust that Jeff has placed in me as we've worked together over the course of the last year and 18 months. So it's been really exciting, to say the least. I'm a Colorado native. I have an 18-month-old, and that is the biggest adventure I think I could have ever signed up for. But it makes all of my life dynamic, to say the least, but it's wonderful. My husband and I spend a ton of time in the outdoors, like most all Coloradans, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to help shape the future that our state can look forward to. I've been in a number of roles with the Department of Natural Resources, with the Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission, with the AG's office. I'm a lawyer by training, but I also studied wildlife biology as an undergraduate. I don't think, disciplined enough to become a research biologist, so I went straight to the law and policy side of it. But the issues around resource management are so critical to the state that I've called home for most of my life. And that is why I love the work that we do here, because it is about resource management and understanding the changing needs and expectations across Colorado. So with that, I would love to introduce our management team. We brought on Scott Cuthbertson recently in the deputy role because, as is clear from my history, technical expertise is not my gift, but Scott brings a wealth of information both within the oil and gas industry, within state government management. And so, Scott, I'm sorry if I stole your thunder, but I can't help myself in acknowledging depth of experience.
Thank you so much, Director Murphy. Can you hear me, just to confirm? Okay, thank you. So my name is Scott Cuthbertson. I'm proud to join the Oil and Gas Conservation Commission. I had previously worked for the Division of Water Resources as the Deputy State Engineer for the last 20 years, and I appreciate Director Gibbs' confidence in recommending me to help come over and support this agency as we transition into a new set of rules and a new dynamic, and couldn't be more proud. I began my career as a process design engineer. I'm a chemical engineer by training, and started my career as a process design engineer for Conoco. I won't tell you when, it's a long time ago, and ended my career with them as the Director of Environmental Affairs at the refinery out in Commerce City. So I'm very familiar with Colorado dynamics from both the industry side and the regulatory side. I spent the next 5 or 6 years in a consulting firm that I started with a friend, and then just really got tired of being the chief cook and bottle washer in a small, consulting firm, and missed the dynamic of a team. I'm very committed to our teams. I love how teams can work and support each other. And so I found my way back to a big team. I didn't think I would be in public service, but I found my way to the state engineer's office at the Division of Water Resources, and loved the aspect of public service and the dynamic that it brings. And I'm thrilled to be here, and look forward to working with our managers in the coming months as we implement rules that this commission works hard to implement. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Scott. And I meant to pull up the org chart, but I'd rather just articulate what our structure looks like, right? I am helping facilitate the transition in the director role and overseeing day-to-day operations. I need a lot of technical support because of the nature of this industry. And so Scott helps head up our 4 kind of different disciplines within the organization, who are led by Greg Duranlo, Jane Stanzik, Dave Andrews, and Mike Leonard. And respectively, it's the environmental team, the permitting team, the engineering team, the field team. So I'm going to jump into those introductions next. But those 4 folks have been with our organization for a long time and know their staff. I'm so grateful to be able to draw upon them and their staff's expertise. And so with that, Greg, do you want to jump in? I think your team has really been critical to the implementation of 181 over the past year in terms of revisiting and repurposing how we look at surface use permits in particular, and making sure that your environmental staff are continuing to clean up and address impacts as they're discovered.
Thank you, Julie, and good morning, commissioners, and good morning, Chair Robbins, and welcome to your new roles here with the commission, and we're very happy to move to this transition. My name is Greg Duranlo. I'm the environmental manager at the commission, and after a 15-year career in environmental consulting, I was fortunate enough to take the role of oil and gas location assessment supervisor, which the oil and gas location assessment team is in the environmental unit. And in that was in 2010. And in 2014, I had the opportunity to take the role and responsibility of environmental manager for the whole environmental unit. The location assessment team, as Julie has said, is responsible for reviewing the surface use permits for the oil and gas development. And we're, right in the crosshairs of this transition as we move into a new permitting regime for the industry. And the rest of the environmental unit works with operators on the back end of things, with overseeing spills and remediations, management of exploration and production waste. And our team is total 25 strong. And many of us are based out in home offices, as well as our location assessment team are based here in Denver and in our Rifle office.
Thank you, Greg. With that, I'd like to turn to Jane, who is our all-knowing data, tech, and permitting wizard. I rely on her so heavily for her deep knowledge of geology, as well as how the rows and columns of how we do things. If you ever need to have somebody like think through your proposal and make sure it actually works, she's just crucial to that effort. And it's something that I'm 100% unable to do. So together we are better. But Jane?
Thanks, Julie. Good morning, everybody. My name's Jane Stanzik, and I'm the manager of the Permitting and Technical Services Group. Technical Services is kind of miscellaneous. A number of different groups that are small but pretty critical to everything we do. The permitting group is 12 strong, with including their supervisor. They review essentially the mineral estate aspect of the applications for permit to drill a well. They also review the reports that are submitted after a well is drilled. And they provide a lot of support in the review of the hearing applications for drilling and spacing units and pooling matters. The miscellaneous includes several groups. The production group, that staff processes all the monthly report of operations that are submitted by operators every month for every active well in the state, which is well over 50,000 active wells, so that's a lot of processing. The financial assurance group, which at the moment is just a single person, who takes care of the critical function of the bonding that operators are required to post with us in order to conduct their operations. And the GIS group, it's a small group, 2 people, take care of all the spatial data, making sure that everything can be displayed on a map, which is very helpful in understanding where things are in relation to everything else, communities, roads, wildlife, everything, looking at it in a spatial perspective. And then the last miscellaneous group are the data folks. That group has 3 people. They take care of all the data. And for folks who are new to our organization, the amount of data that we receive, we store, we provide for stakeholders is just phenomenal. It's a huge asset, I think, for the whole state, all of the data that we have associated with oil and gas operations. So we have 3 folks that take care of all that. When you need data, they're the folks that can query our database and do an analysis for you. I've been with the commission for 14.5 years. I started as a permit tech and have been the manager of this group for I guess, 4 or 5 years. I'm a geologist by training. I had 10 years of industry experience, actually working on the Gulf Coast, looking for oil and gas. So I think that does it. Welcome to all the new commissioners. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you, Ms. Jane. And I think that the work that Jane's team does and Greg's OGLA team dovetails very closely with our next manager, who is Dave Andrews. He again has deep experience, and he has a lot of experience in the Piceance Basin, which is invaluable, even though so much of our focus day to day is in the DJ Basin and the Northern Front Range of Colorado. He also oversees the Orphan Well team, and again is probably the most organized human I've ever come across in my entire life, as is demonstrated by his calendar, which is like broken down into like 15-minute increments of everything that he's getting done. Someday, maybe I'll grow into that level of organization. But with that, Dave.
Thank you, Director Murphy. And you're an attorney, so you should be used to billing in 15-minute increments, I would think. Good morning and welcome to your new positions, Chair Robbins and Commissioners, and also Julie, welcome back to the Director position. My name is Dave Andrews. I'm the Engineering Manager, and I'm responsible for management of our Engineering and Orphan Well program staff. I live and work on the West Slope. I started with the commission over in Denver and then moved over here in 2009. I've been with the commission for 14 years and have supervised or managed staff in all areas of the state. I also have 12 years experience performing environmental site investigations and remediation. I have associate, bachelor's, and master's degrees in applied engineering, geological engineering, and civil engineering. I also have certificates in oil and gas production and electrical instrumentation. I'm a licensed professional engineer in Colorado, Michigan, and Wyoming, and a licensed professional geologist in Wyoming. The work unit has a total of 24 staff, and that includes 13 staff, supervisors, engineers, technicians, and an underground injection control lead. So that's a total of 13 staff in our well engineering group. We have a flow line engineering group, which includes 5 staff, a supervisor, 2 engineers, and 2 techs. And the Orphan Well program includes 5 staff. That's 1 supervisor, 1 engineer, an environmental specialist, a reclamation specialist, and a technician. The well and flow line engineers regulate permitting, drilling, cementing, operation and testing, repair, plugging, and also flow lines for oil wells, gas wells, injection wells, and production facilities. Our orphan well team evaluates orphan sites, which are wells, locations, and production facilities with no remaining responsible party. The staff evaluate priority, manage workflow, work quality, and budgets for the projects statewide. And this includes design and implementation of all phases of work. So that would be field operations. If we have a new site coming into the system, one of the first steps is changing signs, putting up labels, and ensuring that the equipment doesn't have liquid in it that could freeze over the winter. So after initial operations, then we would commence removal of equipment, well plugging, flow line abandonment, and environmental work, and then finally site reclamation for the surface. And that about sums it up for our work unit.
Thank you, Dave. And rounding out our technical team is the field team. And these are our eyes and ears. These are our boots on the ground. These are the folks that day in and day out are in the field making sure that the oil and gas operations that we've allowed are in compliance. And this team of individuals is an incredible group of folks who are committed to the work they are doing. And I'm so proud and so grateful for the work that they do. They are led by Mike Leonard, who is what I think of as our utility infielder. Anything I don't understand about oil and gas, I call Mike, And he's got a pretty straightforward answer that I can understand if I think about it for a little bit. And so to be able to distill down that level of technical information into something that I can grasp is quite a skill, and I'm grateful for his leadership. So Mike?
Thank you, Director Murphy. Sorry, my video's not working. I don't know why Zoom has decided not to allow it to work. And I'd fix it, but I find that trying to fix it sometimes only causes more problems. Good morning and congratulations, commissioners. I think we have a wonderful challenge ahead of us. I'm Mike Leonard. I'm the interim field inspection manager. And Director Murphy's correct. These are the boots on the ground that are out every day, working from home offices, doing everything from inspections from the time the oil and gas locations are constructed until they're plugged and abandoned and final reclamation has occurred. We have in that field group, we have 35 full-time employees, of which 3 of which are office-based. The other 32 are home-based, out every day, along with the reclamation specialists and the field inspection folks. We have a complaint intake specialist that intakes all the public complaints and disseminates them to the appropriate folks in the agency, which is not only the field inspection group, but the environmental group, hearings group, and other places. We also have a quality assurance professional that helps train our staff, the inspection staff, on field inspections, also trains other staff on the use of the database as we intake them. This group is going to be morphing somewhat soon into a compliance group, which we'll talk about down the road, because we not only document non-compliance, but we also document compliance within the oil and gas industry. This group inspects between 19,000 and 23,000 locations each year, and over 30,000 wells every year. So they're busy out there just about, well, every day, weather permitting. A little of my background, I won't tell you when I started either, but I spent 26 years in the oil and gas industry, in well servicing and completions. Also a significant amount of time in oil and gas facility construction, tank batteries, gas plants, things like that. I've got almost 14 years here at COGCC. I started as a field inspector. I was a field inspector supervisor, quality assurance professional, and a short time as the community relations manager. And that's about all I have right now.
Thanks, Mike. And I hope you all hear from all of these managers the depth of expertise and commitment that we have to this. And also the fact that we've been in a state of change as an organization for a long time, and we're continuing that. There's always opportunity for growth, improvement, and change. So with that, those are our technical folks. We also have 3 other teams that I want to run through quickly. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our finance team, because we have our kind of pulled out of retirement finance manager and our interim finance manager working on a very important deadline for the executive director's office. So they're a little tied up today, but our finance team is what makes sure that we get a budget from the legislature and make sure we stays within it, which are 2 pretty critical functions when you're talking about FTE of 140 people and a funding stream that's dependent on oil and gas prices and production. It's a little volatile, but we have been well poised, and Wendy Schultz, who's been our finance manager for 13 years, I believe, before she retired in January, has just been excellent. It's a pretty small team that manages such a robust workload. We have Eric Nickel, Ruping, who manages our accounting and makes sure all of our numbers match up. She's really tied up with the end of the year stuff right now. And then 2 folks, Angie and Deb, who are just critical to making sure your reimbursements will be processed, making sure we continue to function. So that's our finance team. They really do an excellent job. And then with that, I would like to turn it over to someone who you all know and have started working with, but who has been an integral part of our regulatory team for quite a few years now. Mimi Larson.
Thank you, Director Murphy, and thank you, commissioners. It's a pleasure to have you here. Very excited to be working with you. As Director Murphy said, my name is Mimi Larson. I'm the Hearings and Regulatory Affairs Manager. I oversee the hearing officers that marshal through applications that are filed with the commission. So we have pooling applications, we have applications for spacing units. There are enforcement matters that are brought by staff on behalf of the director, all of which our hearing officers undertake a review of, prepare recommended orders that you as the commissioners will have the opportunity to evaluate and adopt if you see fit. We also are fortunate to have several assistants working in this group. We have a hearings assistant, Marg Himeki, who's been with the agency for quite some time, and she knows all the ins and outs and is a valued member of our team. We have a new addition, Angelica Amaro, who is a paralegal who is assisting us as we transition from volunteer commission to professional commission. A little bit about myself. I am Colorado native. I'm a lawyer by training. I spent 12-ish years or so in private practice and then joined the Colorado Attorney General's office, where I was one of the assistant attorney generals who served this commission, working primarily with staff. And after about 2 years at the Attorney General's office, I then transitioned over to become the manager of the hearings unit. So that's a little bit about me.
Thank you, Mimi. And to round out our leadership team here at COGCC, one of our newer members, but someone who then Director, now Chair Robbins had the vision to understand our agency needed, and that's Megan Castle, who's now heading up our communications team. And while I know what a great job our technical staff does, our agency hasn't done the best job telling the world what a great job we do. And Megan has helped us broach that transition and helping to be able to proactively communicate all of the great things we're doing. So her expertise has been invaluable, and it's certainly another skill that I don't have. So I'd say, Megan, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Julie. And it's nice to meet all the new professional commissioners. I'm really looking forward to working with you. I am the communications manager, and what I work in day to day is working with media, getting information out to the public, supporting community engagement efforts, and also making sure that we're getting information out and being as transparent as possible in that information. And my background is in communications, public affairs. I've been with the state in several different roles. I started out with the state energy office, and from there I worked in the press office for Governors Ritter and Governor Hickenlooper. From there I spent 5 years at CDOT working for their enterprise division, and I worked in public-private partnerships, and I helped to launch the state's first express lane. So if you've ever paid a toll or got a bill, I was someone who's helping getting that to you. And I just wanted to let you know that I'm here to support you as commissioners and also the rest of the commission, and I'm looking forward to continuing all those efforts. A little bit about me. I moved here in 1996, so I feel like I'm almost a native, but not fully. I have young boys. We like to bike, ski, and get out, and I'm an unapologetic Ohio State Buckeye fan. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Megan, and thank you all for listening in and getting a little acquainted with us. We know we'll continue to get much more deeply acquainted with you, and you'll understand the nuances of all that we do in the coming, again, days, weeks, months, and years. And we look forward to you charting the new course. You have the opportunity this fall to recast how we function as an organization. We certainly will bring forward the ideas that we think are important for you to consider, but you get to set up how you want this to work for you. And I think that's a great opportunity. And with that, thank you for indulging us with quite a bit of time. Jeff, or Chair.
Thank you, Director Murphy. And thank you to the whole COGCC team. I think you can, as we listen to them, their dedication and passion just really comes through, and it's genuine, and it's going to help us, I think, be tremendously successful as we broker and venture into this new day as professional commission. I'd like to call out a couple of other individuals that are part of our team, even though they're not housed within this building, and that's our attorney generals. We have support from the AG's office, which is tremendous, from Attorney General Weiser down. Our main sort of conduit is Assistant Attorney General Kyle Davenport, and Kyle will often be in the room with us and helps us as we navigate our day-to-day work here as professional commission. The other attorney general that is assigned to us that we work with quite a bit is Joel Minor, and Joel is an assistant to staff, and we'll find him to be a critical component to as we move forward with rulemaking and a lot of that. So just wanted to call out both of those individuals. They are critical components, even though they're not in this building, but they are both assist us in our work, and they're both available to each of you and to me and to staff as critical resources for us as we do this work. So with that, we're just moving down our agenda, and I don't know if you have remarks, but the next thing on the agenda is director remarks. Did you want to say anything further, Julie, or are you good? Okay. All right, then we would round it out. There's some commissioner chair remarks and then just commissioner comments. And bear with me, I'm going to try to share my screen. I wanted to put together some a PowerPoint that sort of talks about next steps for us, so that Colorado as a whole can sort of see what we're going to be doing. So Mimi, I go to,
Share your screen.
that is where?
Down towards the bottom, there will be a
Yep. Share screen. Share. Aha.
and then presentation mode, and you'll be all set.
Let's see. There we go. Okay. So sort of next steps, guys. Actually, before I go to that, let's have a quick discussion. So we haven't had a chance to, meet together. So, and for Colorado and everybody that's listening, this commission does its business in an open meeting. And so we will meet like this. And I am suggesting, and I'd like to get some feedback on this, that perhaps we set kind of a standing meeting on Tuesdays at say 9 a.m. and it's just a suggestion. And then, Mimi, you and I talked about this, but perhaps we start next week and we can be doing this via Zoom. We don't always have to be in the room together because we're under that order to work from home if we can. And I think we can work from home efficiently. But if we were to do that, we could sort of alternate. As 1 week it would be a commission meeting with sort of substance and the consent agenda and enforcement, as well as public comment. That's an important part of what we're doing. And we could maybe start next week with the public comment and give the public a chance to sort of talk to us about issues that they see. And then we could alternate, and perhaps, the following week could be kind of a work session. And we already have some of these set up in which the various sectors that we just heard from could present to us kind of this, here's what we do on a day-to-day basis. And we could sort of alternate back and forth between that. So that way, at least initially, we're giving the public an opportunity to comment. We're doing commission business, once every other week, sort of bi-weekly. And then we're also meeting every week to, learn. And we're all doing a lot of that learning. As we all know, we've got a tremendous amount of information that we are digesting. So I sort of throw that out. Sounds like an idea. Does that work? Sort of nods. Yes. All right. For folks on the Zoom phone, there were 5 nods, if that makes sense. So we'll get that set up, and Hearings Officer Larson, if you could get that publicly noticed, that will be our initial foray. And again, as I look at the world that we're in, we have to be 2 things at all points in times under COVID-19 and the work we're doing. We have to be nimble and we have to be patient. And if we can come up with a way to sort of put those 2 words together, that's what we do. And so we'll start that way, and then we'll see if that's working. And if we need to meet more often, we will. The PowerPoint I'm about to go through is going to suggest to you we will be meeting more often because we've got a lot of rulemakings on our plate. Next step, is the mill levy rulemaking. And so this is set for August 4th for a one-day rulemaking. Director Murphy, I'm going to put you on the thing on the mic, but if you could just give us just a broad 30,000 level overview of the mill levy rulemaking so that the commissioners are informed and our constituents are informed.
Yep, thank you, Director. And fortunately, I'm slightly prepared because we had a stakeholder meeting yesterday on it. So hopefully I can call up what I went through yesterday. So essentially, and as a preview to all of you, our budget in terms of funding our operations, i.e. staff salaries and para and benefits, comes mostly from what's called the conservation mill levy. I often refer to it as the mill levy. And that is a revenue stream that is dependent upon the volume of oil and gas produced and the price at which the commodity, whether it's oil or gas, is sold. So when you multiply those two numbers by each other to get the sales value, and then you multiply the sales value by the levy rate. And currently our levy rate is at 1.1 mils. And given that there's been a fairly dramatic and precipitous drop in prices that was a little unexpected. I mean, going from March to April was a really dramatic time for us. That's had an impact on what our projected revenue stream is. And so we are suggesting and requesting that this commission increase the mill levy to maintain a neutral revenue environment going into next year. We are also taking steps on the internal side to reduce spending where we can, to hold vacancies open, to cut some operational expenses as well. So that's the 30,000 foot view. We had a stakeholder meeting yesterday. Party requests are due tomorrow. And then parties have the opportunity to submit pre-hearing statements, responses to pre-hearing statements, and pre-filed testimony, all of which will be provided to you as it comes in. And then written public comments are due July 27th. So we'll have a complete package of information to you the 27th of July to consider as you embark upon the actual decision-making process. So
that's great. Any questions? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Director Murphy, could you explain to me how we might be able to ask questions and have materials prepared for the hearing? So I listened in yesterday, and I feel like the stakeholders were asking for some things from us that maybe if we put them together, we'll answer some questions. So you had mentioned that we're holding some positions vacant, we're reducing some operational expenses. And I think if we can quantify that for stakeholders, that might be helpful so they understand why we're still asking for, my understanding is the maximum mill amount. So we could put some of that information together for them to see that we're doing our part to reduce costs as well. Sure. Maybe that will help.
Yep, I can work on putting something together and making sure we do it. And I'll work with our AAGs to figure out the best way to get it to folks.
Nimble and patient as my batteries in my mic were going low. Okay, so that's rulemaking number one, mill levy rulemaking, August 4th. Secondly, we have the mission change rulemaking. This involves sort of the look-see into rewriting our rules that are so that they're consistent with SB 19-181. This involves the concept that our mandate move from fostering oil and gas development to being just a neutral regulator of oil and gas development, protecting health, safety, welfare of the environment and wildlife resources. This involves sort of a redo through all of our series of rules. We have recently decided that putting this into sort of two different rulemakings made the most sense. It is a pretty large undertaking for our stakeholders and for us as a professional commission and for our staff. We have been working on this sort of consistently since April of 2019 when the statute was enacted. So the breaking it into two rulemakings, the 200 to 600 series. So these, I just wanted to give the world sort of at large sort of an understanding. So our rules are in various series. So we have a 200 series, 300, 400, 500, all the way through 1200. And so the 200 is sort of the general provisions. 300 is our understanding of permitting and how permits are issued from the current Form 2, which is the downhole permit for the well, and the 2A, which is the oil and gas location assessment. That is being proposed to be sort of looked at. The 400 series is sort of day-to-day operations and reporting. So it's the on the ground, how things happen. 500 series is our sort of Administrative Procedures Act. It's how folks prepare and come to the commission. And then 600 series is safety and facility operations. And then the 8, 9, and 12, which is sort of the second tranche that we're going to take into, is underground injection, the environmental impact prevention, and protection of wildlife resources. The way we've set it up and what we are under it now is that we have blocked out August 24th to September 10th, basically close to 3 weeks for hearings on the 2 to 600 series. Labor Day falls in there on the 7th, so that's a Monday. We won't be meeting on Labor Day. And it's not, it's still to be determined. Director Murphy, I'll look to you as well. If all of those days are needed. Some of the stakeholders have wondered, do we, fully need all of that time? In particular, since we have recently, that this 3-week period was also going to have 8, 9, and 12. And since we pulled that out, do we need that full time? I think we as a commission, staff, stakeholders will have a better understanding of the depth and breadth of time needed for 2 through 6 once we start to see some of the pre-hearing statements that are due next week, I think, due Monday. So we'll start to get pre-hearing statements on Monday. And I think that'll help inform us in terms of, is it that full 3-week block, or is it 3 days each week and we can take some time off, or not? But that's our schedule for mission change 200 to 600, and then mission change 800, 900, and 1200. We blocked out 2 weeks, September 28th to October 9th. Again, pencil in those 2 weeks, but it may be that we can, have 3 days each week and then take some time off. And we'll, I think, again, be more informed as to need for time once we start to see some of the pre-hearing statements and some of the pleadings around that. Just to inform the commission, and I know you guys we're all doing our homework, which is going online, as is a lot of people in Colorado, and looking at the filings that are out there. This team, as well as with our stakeholders, started developing the mission change rulemaking, probably close to a year ago, or at least 9 months ago. We started with, and just for everyone's edification, we started with the statute and its directives, and then our team with stakeholder involvement put together a mission change white paper, which was kind of high level summary of things that we thought we needed to be looking at. And then we were informed from stakeholders about that white paper, and we then moved to what we call straw dog rules, just to kind of start to get into a idea of rules and what those rules should look like. And those were preliminary rules or preliminary ideas, and we received informal feedback on that. And then we went to actual rules, and then we had feedback again, and then we have what we have now, which is the published rules. And then Monday we'll get the actual formal pre-hearing statements on those rules. And I'm spending time now going back through from the reading of the statute to the mission change to the straw dog rules to actual rules and I'm going on the website and sort of rethinking through all of that. I was involved some of that, but a lot of the work that we were doing didn't give us a ton of time to actually sort of, you know, consciously read through. And so that's where we are. And the same thing with the 8, 9, and 12. And you'll see on our website that we have all of the various iterations of the work that has resulted in the 8, 9, and 12, you know, rules being published. So that's our those are sort of my remarks. One other piece for you. We are working with the industry trade groups to try to facilitate a tour of a oil and gas location or locations, probably the last week or so of July, to help us get a sense of seeing on the ground, you know, what this looks like, you know, and that'll be done with social masking and COVID-19 and all of that, and we'll be nimble and patient on that front as well. So those are my comments, and at this point, we're free to talk amongst ourselves, guys. I don't know if you guys have comments. We can go around in a circle. We can raise hands, and, you know, whatever we want to do. So. Commissioner McGowan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am very open to sending to me like what you think I should be reading before a meeting, or what the like the assignments are. So I'm happy to search for things on my own, but it's very helpful for me to get direction of like, you might want to read X and Y and Z before we head into this meeting, and here's some background that you need to know, would be really helpful for me. So I'm very open to taking guidance and suggestions to reading materials, or and I know we're going to talk about this a little bit tomorrow, but my learning style is not just reading, but discussing and visualizing. So the more that we can discuss things and kind of work through things is probably better for me, so I can be a more productive member of the commission.
Hearings Officer Larson.
Yes, thank you. In response, Commissioner McGowan, to your point about having as much prep time and materials before a meeting, before each commission hearing, we do prepare a portfolio for the commissioners to view, and that portfolio is also available to the public. We have it on our website, and we provide a link to that portfolio to the commissioners. And it will detail all the matters that are under consideration by the commission at that hearing. So it would have, for instance, proposed orders. There would be an opportunity for you to view the underlying record that was prepared in support of that draft order. So just from a kind of nuts and bolts of how we work, that's the day-to-day business as to how we get the portfolio out to you. As it relates to rulemakings, those documents are also prepared and put into a portfolio. So again, you would have access to all of the party statements that are filed in a rulemaking hearing. And of course, with mission change, you'll be kept up to speed as to filings as they come in. So it was noted we'll be having pre-hearing statements filed by parties on Monday, July 13th. And we'll have those up on our website as soon as possible. They should be ready by Tuesday morning. So we'll provide a link to you so you can start delving into that information as soon as possible.
Thank you, Ms. Larson. Other comments, questions, thoughts, concerns? Seeing none, I think our initial meeting virtually, thank you to all of our stakeholders. I think at one point we had upwards of 220 individuals on the line, which is awesome. We encourage that public participation, and we will convene again next Tuesday at 9, and would like to welcome members of the public to sign up ahead of time. Mimi, do you want to talk about how that works so that folks understand that?
Certainly. So we'll have on our website later this morning a link to a public form that members of the public can use to sign up for public comment. It is first come, first serve. So we will just start calling folks in the order in which they signed up online. And we do our best to make sure we are able to accommodate everyone. So that is the process for capturing people who want to sign up and give public comment virtually via Zoom.
And Amy, Ms. Larson, can you talk to us about how folks should attend this so that we can find them as opposed to having a phone number?
Certainly. So if you do plan to provide oral public comment via Zoom, we will need you to provide, when you log into the Zoom account or the Zoom hearing that day, we'll need you to sign in via the computer with your full name as you signed up online. So if you signed up as John Doe or Jane Doe, please make sure when you sign in on Zoom on your computer that you use that exact same name. If you do just log in and use the audio via your telephone, all we see is a telephone number. So we're not unable to associate that phone number with the individual that signed up online. So we do our best in the course of the hearing to try to match the two. It can unfortunately result in us missing folks. So again, just please use the computer, sign up via Zoom with the name that you used to sign up online. And then of course, if for whatever reason you're not able to actually participate via computer, via Zoom, on that form, there is the opportunity to provide written comment. So you can certainly provide as much written comment as you like, and those written comments are then provided to the commissioners. So if it is, if you are unable to use Zoom to deliver your comments orally, we will receive your written comments that way.
And Ms. Larson, not to continue to put you on the spot, but I'm going to, can you, just in efforts to ensure that the public has all access to be able to provide us comments, can you talk a little bit about the online portals for mission change and some of the other rulemakings? Because that's another way for the public to be engaged with us.
Certainly. So we have two opportunities for the public to provide public comment on our various rulemakings. Over a year ago, we opened up web portals for members of the public to provide written comment on the various rulemakings that we have. So right now we're in the midst of mission change, and on our website, if members of the public go to our SB 19-181 page, they will see that there is a public comment portal button in the upper right-hand corner of that page, which they can select and then provide written comment. Also, as we get close to our hearing, we notice that in our notice to the Secretary of State that the members of the public will also have the opportunity to provide written statements or oral statements that will be considered and be part of the record in our rulemaking. So the details on how to do that are also within the mission change rulemaking folder that we have online. So again, if you were to go to our SB 19-181 webpage, there is a link to mission change documents. And when you click that on, it will take you to our various folders, and there will be our notice folder that will have the notice that we filed and the instructions as to how to provide public comment. And as we get closer to our hearing, we'll make that notice opportunity front and center on our website, so people can more easily find it.
Great, thank you. So lots of opportunity for public involvement in all the things we're doing, which is really critically important. So with no other commissioners with comments, we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you guys for a great first meeting. You can exit.